those flash forwards that we will talk about in a few, but we'll try to mirror that tonight, and we'll start and end with a surprise. We have some casting news. Dan? Milo?
You want me to? Thank you. I just did this morning. Oh, yeah. So, Tom Cruise. How do you drop the mic on a laugh? Yes. So, Nikki will be played by the wonderful actor Michael Angarano.
And Nikki is?
Yeah, sorry, Nikki's my little brother.
We're heading back to Vietnam this year.
Yeah.
We're going into Milo's backstory a little bit. And so we'll be casting Nikki as a young man.
We only have seen him as a little child in that photograph.
And
we assume he died in Vietnam? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
But we don't know how. Yeah.
And my understanding is that you're filming here, but also filming actually in Vietnam?
Yeah, that's the plan. Our producers and Ken Olin just got back from a scouting trip to Vietnam. We think we haven't heard from them yet, but
they said they're back.
And so we're planning on shooting a big bunch. I think Justin's heading there. Milo's potentially heading there. Maybe some of our other cast members.
And are we uncovering any family secrets there? Anything?
Yeah, I think that's the plan. I think with Milo's character Jack, it's always been like clearly there's something underneath this guy that we haven't learned about. What happened to him? What happened in his backstory? So I think a big part of our season, particularly for Jack, is learning that story. Tim O'Brien, who's one of America's best novelists, has kind of joined the show as a consultant and written an episode with me early on. And he wrote the book, The Things We Carry, which is like one of the great pieces of American fiction in the 20th century. And so that's very exciting and daunting and intimidating, but we're really excited about it.
And the show, every season starts with the birthday, so it's going to be the 38th, right?
Correct.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
And in the flash forward, we had the trip to Vietnam, and we had also the problems that we have Toby with, like depression.
Yeah.
How is it compared to the birthday? Is it close? Did we see what happens when the season starts, or that's something that we will uncover later in the season?
Yeah, I think you'll see all of those things in the course of the season. We'll catch up to them in various orders in the course of the season. So the things you've seen in that flash forward, is that fair to say, Isaac and Elizabeth? Yes. You'll see all of those things in the course of the season.
And you just introduced your course.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to. I don't like forgetting attention.
And speaking of them, actually, I wanted to quote you, Elizabeth and Isaac. They just said, call the next season hopeful, and we had so much tragedy and death this last season, so if it's hopeful, Vietnam is, the war is not
not
easy.
very hopeful, yeah.
And depression is not
Depression
easy.
isn't hopeful.
Yeah,
So-
our storyline's going to take place in Culver City. So it's like Vietnam, Culver City. Got some good steps. Yeah.
That's great.
That's great.
What is the hopeful part? It's we have a baby.
It's a story, it's a potential storyline. Our office is across the lot, and we do a process where when we write a script, all of our writers gather and we do a page turn on the script where we beat up the script. And no matter who wrote it, the other writers get to kind of crap on it. And then we change it, adjust and fight. And then we do the same thing when I have a first cut, and as opposed to have a first cut, we bring it to all the writers and we watch it collectively, and then we talk for a while. And literally 20 minutes ago, I showed everybody the first episode of the 3rd season. And I think it's one of our best episodes that we've done so far. I'm really, really excited about it. And there is joy in it, in different ways, because we're playing different storylines, and I'm really excited about it.
Last year, everybody was saying how your jaw dropped when you read the first script for the season. So what is your reaction to actually seeing the pilot, the first episode of season 3? What is reaction? Is it?
I think so. So first of all, excitement. It's kind of like you're looking forward to that first day back at school because you miss your friends, you miss the experience, you miss
find out what other classes everyone else is taking, who everyone's been dating over the break, summer break. We got a can. Yeah. We just get back to finishing each other's sentences.
And before we start, we'll talk about twists, and in the flash forwards, there's also the Mr. Woman. There's been a death in every season so far, big death, William, and, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Will we have now, if it's a hopeful season, can you guarantee there'll be no major death?
No, I'm not guarantee that, but if there is a death, it'll be very hopeful.
And what about the mystery woman? Can we say it's not Beth and she's very much alive and well?
I want people to. People will get the answer. The answer will happen relatively in the first half of the season. So I want people to come in and kind of like experience the show a little bit. It was a weird period, even when we made the pilot for such a long time, we had to keep secrets, and I think we've all learned that like people who care about the show, probably like the people who have come out for this room, like if people think they want answers, but they actually want to experience the show and not have it. But yeah, Beth dies. I'm just kidding, I'm being funny.
This was the mystery woman in the third flash forward. And now, for all of you, there have been so many twists. Which is the one that you didn't see coming, even with knowing what show you're doing?
I didn't know Randall was going to be a little bit heavier in the future. Yeah, he had that little punch. And I didn't anticipate it. And I actually fought really hard. I was like, man, I don't think this is right. And I was like, when I'm 57, I'm not going to look like this. And he's like, yeah, but for the character, you're going to look like that. So, but I like the different one.
And then Beth was like, Dan, I don't think he's going to look like that.
I actually have a photo, an early photo when Stone was going through that makeup process, and I think I was smiling, and he definitely wasn't.
No. Like, I thought I went home and did push-ups.
By the way, who else we will see older version of? Because right now we have you three.
Mm-hmm.
How about?
Yeah, I mean that's the hope, is that you eventually maybe see everybody who makes it.
Have fun, guys. I already know what I want my hair to look like, so I'm excited.
Do you have your wig design?
No, I'm not kidding. I do. Hair sheets.
Pictures for
You're planning your look?
Yeah. I mean, I don't have to go through the channels and all, but yeah, I have an idea.
I like it.
That's great.
Yeah.
I think Kevin's like clean.
Yeah, man.
I'm telling you, you're not
Some salt
fast
and
enough.
pepper?
We had a joke that
So mad.
everybody gets older, but Kevin just looks exactly the same.
I'll procreate.
Kevin, you had a hard season. It's for you. It seems like the next chapter will be a little easier. Like you went through grieving over the death of your father. And what is Kevin's purpose right now? It seems like, I don't know if acting is on the back burner, but is he completely focused on discovering what happened to his dad? And,
Yeah, I mean, I think that's, look, I mean, the way, Dan, correct me if I'm wrong, but I look at it like, gosh, it's been, this whole time he's never addressed it. And his father's death, and he hasn't dealt with it. So he's like literally opening the book, turning page 1, trying to figure out how to deal with this thing. So, and it's different for him now because he's so far removed from it. It's been so many years. So it's an advantage, I guess, in some ways, but also just a deeper pain, I think, And there are things that are happening in his life where he's also things are triggering memories in his past that he has suppressed or maybe remembered a different way. And so he's starting to kind of put all those pieces back together as well. And he's also, he's also just fresh out of rehab too, so he's teetering, you know? He's not out of danger, so, and I think he's aware of that as well.
There's the burgeoning possibility of a new level of fame,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And there's also a little relationship.
Which could go with the Yeah, that
Yeah.
could be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you getting related soon? Are you getting related? And not like,
Are we related?
because
He's not that sick.
of Ben's cousin.
Right, yeah, we're not related. Is that what you asked?
No, whether we will get related because you're in a relationship with
Yeah,
his cousin.
It's hard to hear up here.
Yeah, I have to say there is a problem. I can barely understand. It's a weird thing. There's an echo.
I'm having fun with it.
Can you hear us?
No, really? Yes, kind of sure.
Oh, great, so
So
it's going well.
It's going well. I thought we were talking.
Yeah.
Let's start over.
Come on, man.
You can get her in the front row? Oh my God.
Turn it up, guys.
Should we pull our mics and project?
Turn me up in my headset.
Maybe should we go?
I can pass this around.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, we can pass around mic.
Yeah, this is it.
Cool.
There you go, Dan. Problem solver. Pass on.
Let's talk. We have to talk about the big episode, the Super Bowl episode, and I know that you all knew there was going to be a house fire, but how many different versions of the reason for that, the culprit, did you go through? Was the crock pot, like one of slow cooker? What other appliances did you consider before?
Yeah, we went to that appliance pretty quickly, pretty early. I'm legally bound not to speak about that appliance anymore. But no, we went there pretty quickly. And we always had a plan. The guys and I had talked about from day one, it was going to be a fire. It was going to be a result of something in the kitchen. We weren't making it up as we went along. It was on the boards in our writer's room. And so we always knew that we were going to reveal Sterling in the future in that position in the second episode. I think the only thing we didn't know was that we would get this. We didn't know that the show was going to become popular, and so I never imagined having the Super Bowl episode to do it in. But we always imagined it would be towards the end of the second season, and then during the first season when the show did get kind of popular, that was when NBC was very cool and said we could have the Super Bowl episode. So it felt like the right platform for the big moment.
Yeah, and puppies. Really, like we started hating puppies after that episode.
The what?
The puppy.
Oh yeah. That puppy. They said that puppy is having a hard time. Are you leaving? Oh God.
Sterling quits.
He's from the theater.
Yeah.
Thanks. Okay.
I thought I said something wrong.
No, you good.
Yeah.
I feel much better right now.
The puppy apparently gets recognized now. That's genuinely the puppy. They said that I think it might have just been a dog person trying to negotiate a better deal, but they're like, you better book up this dog because he's getting recognized.
Maybe he's getting hate mail too.
Yeah.
The death scene. Milo and Mandy, did anybody miss not having a scene, like a final farewell scene? Did you discuss that with the writers? Or?
I mean, I think it laid out exactly as it should have been laid out. And I know that the scene previous, where we're sitting on the edge of the hospital bed and just having a conversation, and there's gratitude for just both being there and being alive. And I think, did you say the most important things were here or something like that? Mm-hmm. Or at least that's what I felt sitting next to Mandy Moore in the course of that scene. You never get those moments in life. You don't know when it's going to happen. So goddamn it, you better live your life, and you better love deeply and love fully and love as hard as you can, because you may not get that moment. Even though they didn't know that it was coming, I still think, to be able to share that laugh about the TV was probably like a nice little blessing. But also in death, like that was one of the hardest things I shot all year, was laying as still as I could, listening to one of my closest friends just completely break. That hurt. That just hurt. It sucked.
Did you, you couldn't see it because of this reflection, but did you cry in that scene?
No, I just kind of laid there as still as I could, did everything I could in stillness.
And by the way, you know that you have better odds of getting nominated for an Emmy if you're dead in present time. Our nominees are no longer with us, the characters. So.
Is that true?
Good trivia.
Is that a true fact?
It is. It's
Interesting.
It's 75%. But Mandy, for you, I know everything was it everything in the script with the candy bar and everything? And for you, was it one take, that particular scene when you saw Milo? How hard was it to shoot that scene?
She killed that, didn't she?
I don't know what take. We did several takes of that.
It's all the first take.
But the candy bar was always something that Dan told me about. And I loved, like Milo was saying, that it wasn't this cinematic passing. You didn't see him pass away on screen, and that you didn't even see him. You just saw him sort of in the reflection. It wasn't a fun day of shooting, no. But I think it's because there was so much expectation that I had sort of placed on myself. I'm like, this is the moment. Like, this is like everything sort of hinges upon this. For this woman, it's like life before and life after this moment, as it would be in real life. So I just really wanted to make sure it like delivered properly, and it was, my job was made easier obviously by what Dan wrote, because it was all on the page, It was just like you show up and do it.
There's nothing really on the page. It's silent. It's all right, Danny. That's crazy.
No, there was like, I remember distinctly when these scenes come up. I don't know how you guys work, but like I'll fixate on a song and I'll sit in like a fetal position and like listen to the same song over and over and over again that I've designated will elicit some sort of reaction on that day for me.
That's your process too?
That's my process. and then I was like reading the script over and over and over again, like that scene, because there was this beautiful description that you wrote, Dan, about like, him passing away and seeing the flashes of like them meeting each other, them getting married, them having the babies, like all the stuff that you end up seeing in the episode, and some that you don't. And that to me was just like blew me away every single time I read it. I was like, oh, I'm there. Like I can be there right now, like thinking about it. It's so heavy when you think of it in the full context of somebody's life. It's overwhelming, so it made it easy.
I can remember Dan coming up to like set and talking about Mandy, because she had a run of episodes like 14, 15, 16 when she was just like dealing with the grief of losing her husband. He's like, I think I'm gonna kill Mandy Moore. I think she may die from just tear exhaustion and just like breaking down because you went through the gauntlet and you did so exquisitely.
Maybe you also are the bridge, because Sterling and Susan and everyone, they have to hear from Dan something about what happened in the other shows. So you do two shows, very distinctly different casts, different stories. Which one is more fun? I hear that there's a lot going on in present day, that the actors are having, like, there's rapping going on.
Tell Milo, and like I feel lucky because I am the bridge and I live in both worlds. Like Milo and I, he's the greatest, and so we have the most incredible time together. No, we have so much fun, and there's laughing, and it's its own thing, because it's like it's us. It's just the two of us, and the kids obviously, who are remarkable. But a lot of it falls on us, and then I'm like, but the other side of the family it's tough, because anytime I'm working with them, I'm always in prosthetics, and the trick is I'm not supposed to really move a lot, like move my mouth and laugh, and I can't, Milo does a really good closed mouth laugh when he has the fake like goatee on or something, but I haven't mastered that. And I'm like, it's terrible. Like I almost have to separate myself because you guys are too funny. It's too much fun.
Oh, stop.
No, I can't.
She does. She totally talks about it when she goes back on like our side of the stage. And she's like, oh my god, my makeup was like falling off because these guys were so funny.
By the way, Sterling, heard that rapping is your something you do, freestyle rapping.
Oh.
I heard that too. I definitely heard that.
Give me a beat. You ready? You ready?
Yeah, I can do a little something here up on the stage. I'm a young Randall, playing my own age. I don't know where this information came from, but I can definitely give you a little something, something. Good works. Sorry, Sam. Sorry, Sam. Wait, no, for real. Who told you that? I don't freestyle at all.
It was me. It was me.
It was you.
On every red carpet we do, I say,
Right.
ask him about it. He
Thank you.
freestyle raps.
Thank you, so much. That was fun. That was good. Yeah, now I got a new skill. So thank you.
It's just like that. It's just easy that way, right? So
I was just having fun.
you enjoyed it.
Sterling, since you have the microphone, I have to ask you a question. It's like that's how it works. We talked about all the others who were grieving your siblings over the loss of a father, but you actually, this season, you're grieving over the loss of two fathers because you also lost William. Talk a little bit about the experience. How did that that tragedy that you went through with William's death impact your the storyline with the adoption? And you, it seems like the season was about you being a father, having lost two fathers.
Right. No, that's an astute observation. I think we start off the season, Randall on fire with this idea of wanting to adopt. And I want to sort of complete the circle of what Jack and Rebecca did for him and the graciousness of William to be able to part company and allow him to be a part of this family. And so trying to replicate something like that for another child. And he has this very strong idea that he doesn't necessarily talk through with his wife. He's like, of course she's gonna be on board. And then she has her ideas that are slightly different. And, you know, it forces him to recognize that, one, my marriage is necessarily different than that of my parents, right? And my parents had a good marriage, and they had a loving marriage. But we have a marriage that is our own thing, that we have to articulate and come up with the parameters for ourselves. And I love that sort of perfectly imperfect idea, and that we are both out in front, and that we make our decisions together. And so she takes him to a place and says, like, maybe it's not somebody from birth. Maybe you don't get a chance to, like, you know, leave your imprint from that point, but there are children out there that the system can forget about, that society can forget about, that are worthy children that need a chance, that need love, that have every desire and ask for that same sort of access to it. And so we wind up fostering an older child, right? And Randall, being the person that he dealing with his perfectionism and wanting to do everything right. And he, you know, 2 seasons in a row, he introduces something into his life that is beyond his control. You know, a father with stomach cancer, a young lady who has lived a full life, right? Who flinches at the first time that he tries to touch her. But now he has to figure out, how do I meet this child where she is? You know, you can't have the answers for everything all the time, but you can be present. Like, you can show up. And what I love about Randall throughout the course of the season is he learns to release the need to be in control. He learns the benefit of just being present, right? And so Deja eventually makes her way to him, but not as soon as Randall would like to, not as like, you know, we're not baking cookies together and living that sort of, cookie cutter dream, but we have moments that are really lovely. And when he has to say goodbye to her, it pains him, right? So, yeah, he has both of his fathers in mind, and you see more of that coming into season 3. I can even remember, as Sterling, I can remember we had episode 115 was entitled Jack Pearson's Son. And I can remember having this moment saying, and it was about Kevin's journey to Joe. I can remember thinking, I'm Jack Pearson's son too, God. I actually had that feeling of like, he got 2 sons.
Yeah, no, that sounds like you. Yeah.
No. It was me feeling it
No, I
like
felt it.
Randall, you know what I'm saying? And
You
so,
are.
Yeah.
You are.
But we have that sort of happen throughout the course of season 3 as well. Because his dad is Jack. Like, that's the man who raised him. That's the man who he looks to as like the model of a father. But the fact that the person who let him go, that he got a chance to walk through life now with the knowledge that he actually did want him, that he was not unwanted. I think that was part of his narrative in life. That like, I'm unwanted, and so I have to work extra hard to make sure that people want me, to make sure my place in life is secure. And now I think he gets a chance to let that piece go a little bit, So I'm thankful for that, the journey that we had through season 1 with William and Randall. And now moving into season 3, you see how he tries to honor both of these men and the decisions that he makes in living his life.
Okay. Susan, how is the planning going? Because last year you revealed what Beth's job
what
is.
Beth's job
And
is.
yeah, we saw a little bit of that, but will we see you more in the office? And when will your husband go to work? I mean,
That's William's cat back there.
There's a little white girl back here, Robert. Go ahead. How about that?
We all got loud mics now.
You.
So urban planning. Millie, I'm going to ask you to repeat the question.
I just wanted to know when you will get him out of the house. And I know that running a building, managing a building is one thing, but he's not cut out for that, as we saw. So when will he go back to work?
Some harsh decisions. You know what? She is back to work and finding her way in that. But also, they're R&B, right? They're R&B properties. Not to be confused with R&B soul, but R&B properties, because I confused it. And they work pretty well together, I think. And finding their way to kind of have a mission together. It all goes back to honoring William and the fact that Randall isn't the only person who wants to honor William. It's like having an echo in the phone. You know when you're talking to somebody and there's an echo in the phone and you feel like you're...
Like right now?
That's what's happening. Okay.
Yeah.
But, yes, so back to honoring William. It's our way of honoring him, and it's an extension of that, but it's also Beth using her skills and what she really wants to put into the world is to beautify neighborhoods that people deem not beautiful or not worthy. And that's her contribution. And her husband found a way to give her that outlet that she's not having at work, and a way for them to team up, honor William, and do all those things together. So it really speaks to something that I had spoken about with Dan, I feel like the writers are so good about, which is seeing each character as individuals. What are the things that kind of make them tick? What are the things, who is Beth as Beth, and not necessarily Beth as a wife or Beth as a mother. And one of the things that they're so smart about is something that I've observed in friends and in women that feel like once they get married or once they have children, their individual identity gets lost. And what I enjoy about Beth is that there's a maintenance of that. There's a willingness to explore what her individual identity is and what makes her tick. And the fact that she doesn't have to sacrifice the uniqueness of herself in order to be a good wife and a good mother. And so to see her passion in helping communities and things of that nature has been a part of, one of the cool things that I get to explore. Yes, sir.
And will we get to explore the backstory, the origin story of both Beth and Randall and Jack and Rebecca a little bit more?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the plan for this season. You're going to learn a lot more clearly, and as you may see later tonight, you're going to see a lot of the origin story of Jack and Rebecca. But I think we're going to start catching up a little bit to Sterling and Susan's characters meeting, learning more about Toby and Susan's backstories. We've grown up with this family, but we don't know what came before for Toby and Beth. But literally, we start shooting an episode tomorrow named Toby. And so,
Congratulations! I know it was.
Thank you.
It's about Beth,
It's not
but
that
it's called
Toby.
Toby. That's the surprise.
That was William's other cap.
I know it was an issue for the two of you, for Beth and Toby, when they felt out and were kicked out of that session with the therapist because they're not part of the family. And how does it feel to get backstories, to get cute kids play you two, hopefully the way the others get it?
You warm it up and then I'm gonna come in.
I've seen the kid, he's not that cute.
You know, there's gonna be a kid. There's gonna be a kid in season. So you're gonna have to go this up.
I am playing 7-year-old me. No, I'm kidding. It's Michael Angarano. It's a call. He's playing Nicky, his brother. Younger. Okay. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see the foundation of our Tobias, Randall's Tobias.
That's my man.
Yeah.
I was called by his full name.
Yeah, I think the more we get a backstory, the more the audience will bond to each of the characters, and the relationships become richer, and yeah.
the stories are very exciting this year. The two relationships. What's cool about this season coming up is I feel like for the first two seasons we were telling a story with a bit of a beginning and a middle and an end, and it ended at that wedding for Kate and Toby, and it ended with everybody taking that breath, and now they're kind of embarking on this next stage, and I think you wouldn't know based off being a fan of the show where their stories are going to go this season, and it feels very exciting. They're exploring new things in their relationships. There's tension and romantic stuff, and I think people are going to be very surprised by where their stories go in the season.
I want to say this. I haven't read Beth's backstory yet. I know about it, but I haven't read it. But I did read the next episode, Toby, and I'm telling you, I'm telling you, that thing is good. You understand him so much. I text you afterwards and said I can't wait for this. But what I love is understanding the psychology of each character, and I feel like the writers are so good about that. So there's all these things you've learned about Toby so far, right? And then you read this episode and you see where it all came from. and it's so much deeper than you know. The man that you've known for 2 seasons is going to really unfold for you in such an exciting way that I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, I'm very excited as well. The writers give us these things. Mandy already spoke about it. The service that is presented to us, it's on the page. It's all on the page. And I ran into one of our writers today, KJ, who wrote 304, entitled Toby. And she said, "So what do you think? And any objections?" And I have none. I've never had one. The writing that continues to come out of that room is some of the consistently highest quality storytelling that I've ever seen. Episode, yeah. And for example, episode 1 of season 3 is as good, if not better, than any of the episodes we've done up until now, which is just crazy to me that a group of people can perform at that high a level for that long, episode after episode. It's quite the honor to be a part of this.
On that note, I would like to ask you, Dan, about this, the writing nominations and directing nominations. It is pretty glaring that a show like This Is Us has not been nominated for writing or directing, and there seems to be that attitude towards broadcast drama series. You're not the only one. There's been only one show in this decade to get a writing nomination that airs on broadcast television. We heard it so many times tonight from the actors about that it's all on the page, and you do produce 18 of those scripts a year. How do you feel about that?
Well, I'm furious. No, we don't. Honestly, for us, I think the showcase of this is these 7 actors. I think we firmly believe it, and we're not just saying it. For the show to get any recognition, I have low expectations for what the success of the show is going to be. If you had put a gun to my head when we started, I would have thought, oh, people are going to really like this show. I hope it finds an audience. That was truly my expectation, and I thought it could be big, but not like this. I didn't see this coming, so it's disappointing when Mandy and Justin and Chrissy don't get individually recognized after the work they've done. Only because we've gotten sucked into this vortex where you can lose sight of the fact that no one saw this coming, including the people who were working on it. And I remember going to when we first got nominated for the first Golden Globes, I was so anxious. It's not my comfort zone. And I was so drunk. And all of a sudden, and they were saying we might win. And I would have to give a speech on television, and I was horrified. I was terrified. And they announced was it Oprah was that the first one? And she said, "Duh," and it was like, "Duh," but the "duh" sounded like this. And I was like, oh, and my stomach dropped, and it was The Handmaid's Tale. And then all of a sudden, after praying, like literally on my knees praying, please don't make me give a speech on national television, all of a sudden you feel this pang of disappointment because you've lost something, and you're like, wait a second, I'm so excited to just kind of be being acknowledged. I thought the show would be canceled after 2 episodes, and so that's how I feel about all this. I think when these 7 actors collectively and individually get recognized in any capacity, for us, that's the win. I would put these guys in a multi-camera sitcom. I would put them in a serious, heavy streaming drama, and they would kick the shit out of any cast on television. I really believe it. So, when Sterling was an award, when Miles nominated, when the cast was a SAG award against all these other crazy shows, that's our win.
So I think the big win is an audience that's engaged in what we're all collectively doing together. I think one nomination is a reflection of every piece of artistry that touches the character, the group, the category, anything. It's this crew, this group, this cast, this everything, and we can all speak to this, is such a unique experience that is truly of love reflected amongst the group, just going outward to an audience that's engaged and giving it back. The real gold statue is the audience. That fact that they're excited, they're happy about when you coming back.
Yeah, I mean, you don't get,
But they really should, nominate everybody else.
but you don't get wins like this. I mean, this is, to be this popular and also recognized, it doesn't happen. It's been something I've chased my entire career. How do you make something that can be accessible for a populist audience, but also high quality? And I feel like, I'll never understand the people who look at it as a broadcast television show versus another form of television show. I don't see it that way, and I don't mind it, but I'm like, listen, if you don't like this show, you probably wouldn't like me very much, and that's okay. But that's what we do. The people who work on the show, if it's not for you, then we're probably not for you, and that's okay. But we're very proud of what we're doing, and we're gonna keep doing it.
What I always hope, for our writers or whatnot, we get these scripts, and they're routinely about 51, 52 pages, right? And basically it comes to about a page a minute in terms of what you see. But at the end of the day, you gotta get it down to 42 minutes and 30 seconds. And I think about when I set my DVR for my cable shows, and this episode is an hour 15, and the next episode of the same show is an hour 7, and they have all the time that they want. It's however long it takes, that's all it takes. And the fact that we get a chance to still be in it, 42 minutes and 30 seconds. Each and every time, I think that shit is off the chain. The fact that we actually get a chance to go to these shows and be like, hey guys, how's it going? We're 42 minutes and 30 seconds. You know what I'm saying? And
I'll add another one for these guys. I remember during the pilot I wrote on what's called a spec script. I just wrote the script. I didn't know if anyone would make it, and so there were 10 shits and fucks in the initial script. And I was like, there's no reason this can't be on network television because there's no content that makes it demand it has to be on streaming. I can take out the 10 shits and fucks. And there was one, and it was Sterling when he goes to the door to Ron's apartment, to William's apartment, and he's confronting his biological father for the first time, and he says, I didn't need a thing for you. I didn't need a fucking thing for you. That's what it was in the script. And I was like, that one hurts. Because he does this whole monologue and it needs to be punctuated. And we took the word out completely. I didn't need a thing from you. And when I went there and I was watching the shooting and I was anxious about it. And Sterling hit the thing instead of the F word. And he was like, I didn't need a thing from you. And the spit flew out of his mouth. And I was like, oh wow, look at what Sterling just had to do without it. And then in this first episode of this week, Chrissy has this monologue in the first episode of the season, that's the best scene she's ever had in a series of scenes of the best scene she's ever had. And it is, and I'll tell you, and it's punctuated with another opportunity where every single part of it is meant to have a curse word in it to punctuate this monologue. And she doesn't have it, and she crushes it. And it's so just on a simple level, what they're doing on network television is equally complicated because we have a set of rules we live by, and that keep the show accessible, but they have to be delivering that kind of nuance without the words. And it's very difficult in this day and age in 2018 to do, and they're killing it, each and every one of them. So I think that's right.
Chrissy, can you tell us a little bit more about...
I don't know what he's talking about. I do think I know what he's talking about, but I didn't think I did that. So thanks, Dan.
It's the monologue at the birthday party.
Yes, I thought that's what you were.
I was there.
That's your birthday, right?
Yes, it's my birthday party.
Culver City.
Actually, it's Madison's house. I don't think she lives in Culver City. Anyhow, she's got some money. Anyway, so okay. So for me, it's one of those things where I just really try to stay present. and I don't know what the hell is going to happen, and I'm relatively new in this whole thing, right? But I know, we all know what inadequacy feels like, and we all know what it is to compare and despair to things that, and to people that we'll never measure up to, or things that we'll never be able to do. And we just sort of deal with the cards that have been dealt to us. And so, thank you. I mean, it's even hard for me to accept a compliment. I'm working on it. And somebody told me, like, the more that you deflect it, the more it becomes about you. So I'm just saying thank you. But just, you know, she's come through a lot, but there's still so much going on that she's still contending with, and she's a newlywed, and it's her birthday, and the family dynamic, and the desire to want to be a mom and start a family, and feeling like she's never going to measure up, and specifically to her mother, and specifically to the women in her life, whether it's Beth or Madison. So she's, you know, a lot of stuff going on. So, yeah.
Is there, you mentioned what your character went through last year with the miscarriage and all the stress, but now in the flash forward, we saw that you have to care for your new husband. Did you have any happy honeymoon, or was there any period where you were happy for a second?
We were really pushing the writers to write us a honeymoon in Hawaii.
We were trying to go on a vacation, you know.
Wouldn't it be so great if they went on a honeymoon to Hawaii? And we have it's a double episode with a to be continued.
You guys got Vegas last year.
We keep pushing. We want a Pearson family vacation, something fun like that. Like, come on.
Oh my gosh, I'm excited.
You know?
Maybe to Philadelphia.
Liberty Bell, yeah, Chicago.
But I think that, without sounding cliche or weird, Toby and Kate, they've been looking for this love all their lives, so it's sort of like they live in the honeymoon in a lot of ways. As I know, everyone's like, oh God, Chrissy. But I do think that, they're really, truly happy, but there's just a lot of things that they're contending with as individuals, and how that affects the new marriage and the dynamic of the relationship, so.
Yeah, and there's an evolution to the happiness. They think they understand what happiness is, or what it has been. And as they kind of settle in to to the present moment with each other, they are, I think, their idea of happiness.
Sorry, NBC.
And I think that
we're all with each
you can do whatever you want with those shoes, man. Give it a round of applause for these shoes.
Okay, This Is Us Season 3 premieres on September 25th. If you can't wait, 4 days earlier, Dan's new movie comes out.
Yes.
Life Itself.
One of the best movies I've ever seen in my life.
That movie is so good.
I agree.
Dan actually grabbed Andy and I and said, hey guys, you guys want to see this movie?
We've seen it.
The crime level compared to This Is Us.
You may lose your life, is what I'm trying to tell you. It's what I'm trying to tell you. If you're not ready, it's like Memphis and the Fire in one episode.
But it leaves you full. It's like such a beautiful, beautiful story of life itself that you need to.
It's like a Spanish Jack and Rebecca. Totally. No, seriously, you'll see. This is what I love about Dan. He's never content to rest on his laurels, and the next thing he does, he wants to be the best thing he does.
Yeah.
This movie is phenomenal.
It's so good.
So beautiful.
In case it's called Life Itself.
Yeah.
Go see this movie.
Yeah.
My wife and I saw a screening. The way that This Is Us zooms way in on people and gets minute with them, this movie zooms out on life in a way that when my wife and I left the theater here on the lot, we were different people.
Yep.
we were moved, moved from one place to another in our life. It's really beautiful. Life itself.
Yeah.
I need someone who can come with me on the road actually now. Thank you, that's really sweet, guys.
We have to wrap it up. You will introduce, this is the second surprise that we're ending with. You will be the first people to see outside of the group here, to see a scene from episode 3.
You haven't seen it yet, we just did it. The guys who've not seen this yet, please don't videotape it.